Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our leadership training videos. As you know by now, in these leadership training videos I help share my ideas and thoughts through my own experience about what it takes to be a leader, to be a more effective leader, to be a more successful leader. Perhaps even just some techniques and ideas that I can share with you and you can implement in your own journey, in your own life. It's not just about leadership, it's about being an entrepreneur, but it's also about you leading yourself as an individual, as a human being, in whatever it is that you're doing. So don't get worried about leadership only in a corporate sense. I take this as broad and hopefully as helpful as I can to support your journey. So my name is Igwe. I have over 35 years experience leading, training and developing teams across Europe, Middle East and Africa, and primarily in the 5 countries where I've lived over that time. Now, if you're familiar, please feel free to like, comment and share. I'd love to interact with you and know what your ideas are, what most caught your attention as we explore these different leadership aspects. So the topic we're going to talk about today is one that is probably forgotten a lot by people, whatever form of life or walk of life you're in. It's less about the principle, but it's about the execution. And what I want to talk about is this. I want to remind you that people's names matter. People's names matter. My name, Chris, or whatever your name is important to me. In fact, obviously my full name is Christopher. That's what my parents gave me, and that's what I'm proud of owning and having and living. So when we talk about names, it's not necessarily something where you think, oh, calling people names. No, it's not that at all. It's about people's birthright. It's about what they were born with or known as. And I'm not going to go into the different aspects of names, whether it's your first name, your last name, your Christian name, and so on. It's the fact that whatever you allow your friends, your family, your co-workers to call you in terms of your name, that is what sticks. That is where your heart is. And it really does matter. It really does. Now, when you are introduced to somebody, let's take a very simple scenario. The first thing you do is you would normally shake their hands and ask their name. They would say, I would say, my name is Chris, and whoever is in front would say their name. Now, if their name is a little bit complex or you're not sure, especially in these multicultural environment, different nationalities, you don't know who you're meeting, ask to spell it. Ask to spell it so you can hear it or see it. Remember, people see things and retain knowledge and information in very different ways. Now, once they've spelt it, it's often, again, if you're not sure or it's a very long name, write it down. I always carry a pen, in fact 2, just in case one doesn't work, a pen and a piece of paper. Now for you it may be technology, so your mobile phone or whatever you use to note things down. Ask them how to spell it and then you write it down. And then of course the objective is to memorize it. So depending on the setting you're in, whether it's just a quick hello and goodbye, a meeting, you're introduced to somebody, whatever the circumstance, you can think of a million of these. For me, one of the main ones is in trade shows or conferences. When I go to speak or participate, you meet a lot of people. It's always very hard, in fact, to memorize. And as you get older, as you can imagine, it's less easy to memorize. And there are various techniques that I have used. So when you take someone's cards, I know we use less business cards today. If it's WeChat, you take the QR code and you download it. I've seen people do it on WhatsApp and whatever. So whatever your method of gathering knowledge and information, the advantage of the card, the old-fashioned system, is you could write on the back of the card the person's name, where you met them, and the circumstance of that meeting, and then you obviously organize it in a certain way. But people like to hear their name and to know that you've asked them. It shows a respect as well. And even something as simple as a name like, let's say, Jane. You may think, oh, it's Jane as in J-A-N-E, but it could be J-A-Y-N-E. Whatever the circumstance, and it sometimes just allows you to get into their world by asking a question. So those are the 4 basic things to start off with. So you may say, well, why does it matter? Well, put yourself in the shoes of the person being greeted or met. The first thing is they feel valued. They feel that you are paying attention to them, and that's important, which I'll share with you at the very end. It helps them know that they've been seen, especially if they are younger than you, either age-wise or in business, and in certain cultures as well. Remember that, for example, in France, where I live, there's a very formal system, vous and tu. Vous is the more formal, where you don't know somebody, and tu is where you're familiar with them, that you use. So that's you in the formal sense and the familiar sense. And in other languages, it's the same. In English, it isn't. But they then means that they have been seen, they've been acknowledged, they've been noticed, they've been heard as well. So whether it's age or junior or whatever, it shows that you're interested in them, because when you do that first handshake and you ask their name, the key thing is to look into their eyes. Don't look at their shoes, don't look anywhere else, look into their eyes as you say, hello Jane, hello Chris, whatever it happens to be. And finally, it shows that they are appreciated and acknowledged. And all those, to give you an example, I went to a trade show a long time ago and met up with a group from a particular company. And one person who was there, who introduced herself, she was a young woman, her name is Isabelle. And I said, hello, Isabelle, as I say to everybody else. Had a conversation with them all, senior, she was junior at the time. And she told me the story some 10, 12 years later when we had a meeting somewhere, and she said, you know what, one of the most touching things for me was that you, this senior individual, which I already was then, you not only said my name, but later on, at another trade show, I went up to her, said her name, and said hello to her and acknowledged her. So in that space of time, not that I had known automatically about it, but it's something which I did as part of nature. And she said that was one of the biggest impacts that it made, which to her, to use her words, it showed my character. For me, it wasn't about who is junior and who is senior. It's about calling someone's name, remembering it, using it again when you see them, and acknowledging them in that environment. It matters to people, the fact that you use their name and that you remember it. So where does all that lead us? Well, to this. You might say, okay, how do you use it most? Being in a trade show, conference, meeting, that's one thing. But what about the everyday reality? Well, the everyday reality is this. We use email a lot. We obviously text, DMs, WhatsApps, whatever message system you use, Instagram. You engage in conversations, perhaps, which are verbal over the telephone. In all these situations, what I do, and it's up to you, I know that certain cultures, certain individuals, for the sake of speed, when they text or DM or even in emails, they don't say hi. They'll just start the sentence. Now, that's entirely up to them, and that's their approach. In all these videos, I'm telling you what I do and what works for me, because I put myself on the other side. If someone just starts and you've already had a conversation perhaps, or you've asked a question and somebody's responded, I will always start with either dear John or hi John, hi Sue, dear Sue, whatever it happens to be, even if that's not the form they use. Now, I know that some of my friends do it regularly. They say, I don't have time. I just, get straight into it, reply to the email and go straight into it. And even at the end, they don't acknowledge themselves in that email by saying thank you or whatever. Again, I'm telling you what I do and what works. So even in emails, I will always start an email, hi John, hi Sue, or dear John, dear Sue, whatever it happens to be. And I'll structure the sentence properly, because structure matters to me. We're given a beautiful language, whether it's English, French, German, Japanese, Chinese, it doesn't matter. We're given a way in which we structure our sentences, and we are required, A, through the education process, and B, because it's the right thing to do, to structure. So I will always start my emails, even in texts, even very quickly. I may not say hi, but I'll say Sue, John replying to what it is. Now you may think this is immaterial and a waste of time, and that's okay. I'm not here to convert you to anything different. I'm simply saying that what it does is this. It creates consciously and unconsciously a connection with the individual. Our names are very important to us. They matter to us because they were given to us as our birthright. And we like to know that we can create a connection, a faster connection, by acknowledging those who we are in contact with. Once again, you may say, I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing, and none of this really matters to you. You don't feel it's appropriate. That's totally okay. I'm just sharing. But what I am saying, so even if you take one thing away, is the fact that your name is just as important as somebody else's name. Do your best, acknowledge their name, remember it, use it, and memorize it. As one gets older, it's more difficult, and I've seen a lot of people. I have a huge network of relationships, both friends and business, and trust me that as the years go by, it's more and more difficult to remember people's names. Faces, generally yes, but names could take a second or two, and that second or two you can see in the other person's eyes. They go, he or she's forgotten me. So think about it and find a way in which you can put that in motion in the way in which you approach your own business, because it'll help your connection and of course your leadership ability. So once again, thank you for joining me. I appreciate your being here. If you have any comments, thoughts or ideas, please feel free to share them. Continue to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you know when other videos are available. So until the next time, thank you.